In this video, I'm breaking down my morning routine. This is something I get asked about quite a bit. It's only 15 minutes long. I've streamlined it with a special foundation that I created for myself. I go through my battle plan. Usually that's created the night before, but I need to review it the day of. And then the secret sauce and the one thing that really brings me my success, my one performance primer. All that's coming up. We're going to break barriers and build legacy. Come with me. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's Rob, and I am talking today about my morning routine because I used to have a very complicated and difficult and lengthy morning routine that wasn't doing me much good. So the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that although I am going over my morning routine here, I don't think that you should adopt this routine, okay? The reason why is because I think that you need to come up with your own. This was the hang up that I had for a long time, is I had created a morning routine that I copied what I thought were the best components of these different morning routines of other successful people that I had seen and had talked about their morning routine. I said, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to do that. Oh, this looks like it'll work. Pretty soon, I had glued together all these parts of other people's morning routines, and it was taking me like an hour and a half to get going in the day, right? So I'm waking up and an hour and a half into the day, I haven't done anything, all right? All I've done is get ready to do stuff, which is what the morning routine was all about. And I had all kinds of crazy stuff in there. I trashed all that because I realized one day it wasn't working for me. I wasn't getting anything done an hour and a half into the day. That's inexcusable, right? Again, decisions, right? And velocity and speed of implementation, I had none of that, right? I was just mired in this overwhelming pile of stuff to do that was supposed to prepare me and get my mind right, right? So I streamlined it and I made it much quicker. It's 15 minutes now. And the very first thing that I do is I wake up and I express gratitude for my life, gratitude for the breath that I am breathing, gratitude for my heart still beating, right? These are things I express out loud, and it's a very short part of it. And then I go into what I call my 5 in 5. You may have heard me talk about this in some other videos. My 5 in 5, these are my 5 power questions, okay? I just call them my 5 in 5 because it takes me 5 minutes. It's 5 questions in 5 minutes. Now, the reason I did that is because when I first created these 5 power questions, which was a concept that I picked up from Tony Robbins, I was spending like 20 minutes answering these questions, right? These questions are designed to, the way Tony Robbins prescribed it, I modified it a little based on another person and I don't even remember who it was, but somebody else who I would give credit if I could, I can't remember, but somebody else who had talked about the questions that we ask ourselves in the morning, they kind of determine our mood, right? And so if we're controlling that, then we're on the right side of things. And if we're not controlling that, then we're letting things kind of unwind as they will. So if we control it and we put ourselves in a good, happy place, right, and wake up with happiness, then that kind of sets the tone for our whole day, okay? So I took Tony Robbins' idea of these 5 power questions, and then I changed them into questions that would make me happy and that would get me excited for the day. And that's actually one of my 5 questions. What do I have to get excited about today? And that's a question I ask myself. It's number 3. If you want all 5, I will give them to you as a bonus for the Performance Accelerator program. But that's something else I'll talk about later. Right now, I want to stick with this 5 in 5, okay? Now, again, I was taking 20 minutes to answer these 5 questions at first. And so here I was trying to streamline my morning routine, and then I had only cut it basically from an hour and a half down to about 40 minutes when you added everything else up. So it was time to put some limits on myself. And I'm a big, big advocate of not limiting yourself, right? I talk about not limiting yourself a lot. Ironically, it's the limits that I put on myself with this 5 in 5 that made it so effective. So I have a timer. I have an audio track that I created, and it just has a very simple tick, tick, beep, basically, every minute along the track. And so when I start the track, I ask my first question. I give my answer as I'm going. It eventually goes tick, tick, beep. And then I know it's time to ask the second question, right? So to some of you going, what? This sounds so wacky. It's okay. It works for me. Maybe you should try it. It does sound wacky, doesn't it? But hey, you know what? Successful people do a lot of strange things. Successful people don't live like other people do, because if they did, then everyone would be wildly successful, right? So part of the trick to success is to do some oddball things and be a little out there, okay? So this is a little out there. I get it. But my 5 and 5 is a very important part of my day, because it primes me and it sets me up for the day in a gratitude and a positive light, right? And so I'm looking forward to things. And I am thinking about the experiences that I will create. And I'm thinking about the things that I will get done that day that excite me and that juice me, right? But again, I limited it to 5 minutes. And so it's a very strict thing now. It's literally 5 minutes long. And so it's my 5 and 5. And it's been a great experience for me. Again, might not work for you, but there's only one way to find out, which is to try these things, right? Try it out and see, okay? So for my 5 and 5, then I move into my battle plan, okay? And I use a calendar app on my phone, and it's also on the internet. And I have a website. And so I go to my calendar, which I have created the night before, okay? And I review. And I look at the things that I have planned for the day. And I look at, all right, is this still going to work, right? Is this something when I created it the night before or the afternoon before, which is usually when I create my calendar for the next day is in the afternoon. Did I put things on there that still work for me? Did I put something on here that I actually need to move off to a different day and push back a couple days because it's not as important? This is the kind of review process that I go through. Most of the time, everything is left as is. But what this does when I go through it is it reminds me of my battle plan for the day. Where do I need to be? What do I need to do? Who do I need to meet with? All these different things that I have scheduled on my calendar, right? I just take a look at that and review. Okay, so that's my battle plan. And the very first thing that is on that battle plan, outside of course, my morning routine, is that the next thing I'm going to do as soon as my morning routine is over, which I call Eat That Frog. And that's something I borrowed from Brian Tracy, who wrote a book called Eat That Frog. And it's all about doing the most difficult or the most daunting or the thing that you are least looking forward to. That task, you do that task first thing. And you knock that out, and I used to spend only an hour on that. Now I've increased that to an hour and a half. So I spend my first hour and a half of work on my Eat That Frog project or Eat That Frog task, whatever that may be, okay? And again, what this does is it gets you into the fast action mode that gets you creating results. And not only that, but it knocks out your most difficult or your biggest, most daunting task of the day right away. So what happens? Everything else seems easier, all right, throughout the whole rest of your day. And you know that you've tackled already that really super important, terrible, horrible thing, right? And you've done it, in my case, because I wake up at 3 a.m., I'm doing it with no distractions, right? I'm able to devote my entire focus for an hour and a half to that one thing. That's been really the ultimate unlock for me, right? The ultimate level up for me is that I now have that uninterrupted time. It doesn't matter who you are and it doesn't matter what world you live in, as far as I can tell. That time from like 3 to 5 a.m., that's a time when most people aren't going to be bothering you. You're not going to get phone calls. You're not going to get people knocking at your door. Unless you have a baby in the house, you're probably not going to get bothered rather by any children. I hate to say bothered. I love my children, but bothered meaning like interrupted, right? You're going to be able to work without interruption for that entire hour and a half, in my case, or from that block from 3 to 5. That's my point. So again, please don't be offended. I'm not trying to say that people or that your loved ones are a problem. Certainly not. But we all know that distractions are a part of life. And so this block from 3 to 5 in the morning is totally free of distractions, okay? That's my point here. So I eat that frog at that point in time because I can devote my entire focus to it, right? Now, the last thing I go over in my morning routine before I start my eat that frog task is I look at my one performance primer. What does that mean? Well, everybody has this one thing that's the most important thing to work on. It may or may not be the eat that frog task, all right? And usually for me, it isn't. Eat that frog, like I say, that's the most difficult thing. That's the daunting task that you don't want to do, but you know you have to do it. So as a successful person, you do it anyway, right? Because you know it has to be done in order to enjoy success. That's what successful people do, okay? So the eat that frog task is usually different from the one thing, okay? The one thing being like for me, a lot of times, it's something pertaining specifically to my business, all right? The eat that frog task may or may not, okay? It often does too. But something that's the real needle mover for my business, or the needle mover that day for whatever, if I'm off from the business that day, like that ever happens. But if I'm, it doesn't necessarily have a particular classification, is what I'm saying. It's just the one thing that if that's the only thing I get done that day, then it was a success. The only thing that matters for that day. And if I get that done and I get other stuff done, awesome. And that's what I'm always shooting for. Of course, I'm always aiming to get plenty of things done. But this is the one thing, okay, that one performance primer. And that needs to stay top of mind, and that needs to be my focus the entire day, okay, until that thing is done, all right? That is the big thing that I remind myself of, and I write it down, okay? And so that's my performance primer. And that's the end of my morning routine. It's 15 minutes long, like I say. 5 in 5, my 5 questions in 5 minutes. I review my battle plan. I get on the computer. I do some things there related to that, right? And then I figure out my performance primer. I write that down. I've got a couple of other little things that I do that are personal in my morning routine, which is why it's 15 minutes, because what I just described takes about 10 of that, all right? And then I'm off and running, and I'm going, and I'm doing my eat that frog task, okay? So this morning routine, again, probably isn't something that you should adopt verbatim, okay? If you want to try it, again, I will let you in on it in full and give you the full written version so that you can copy it as a bonus for joining my Performance Accelerator program. That is my 3-day intensive to help you get unstuck fast, all right? That is available at the website. It's www.yoursoulsource.com. So head over there and pick that up. It is free. At the end of the 3 days, we meet and we go over your specific situation so that I can help you further. And, again, as a bonus, I'll give you this morning routine and my list of 5 questions, and we can talk about that too when we get on our call. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and I thank you for joining me here for this video. I'll see you in the next one.
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.